What is up, everyone? It's Paul here, aka 90s Handheld Gamer, and I am thrilled to announce that I have 9 other phenomenal YouTubers teaming up with me to talk about some of the best Nintendo 3DS games still worth playing right now in 2025. But without further ado, let's get right into it.
Hey everybody, it's femtrooper, and thank you, Paul, for having me on today to talk about a 3DS game still worth playing in 2025. And what did I choose? I chose Pokemon Moon, or Sun, whatever version you have. It's funny that this topic got brought up to me because I actually just recently purchased Pokemon Ultra Sun, which is like sort of the extended version of the game that they made. And I just bought this because I legitimately want to play it soon. Pokemon Sun and Moon were the last Pokemon games that came out before the Switch ones. And if I'm honest, I don't really like the Switch ones very much. They don't do it for me. So I liked Pokemon Sun and Moon. They were different, yes, they changed the formula up a little bit, but they weren't different enough that I was left disappointed. They were actually really cool. They took away gyms, but they did something a little bit different in a more fun way. I liked it. They feel like a Pokemon game, and I feel like if you miss them, they're really worth it. And the bad guy team, Team Skull, awesome. Because Pokemon has actually really gone into a different direction, and one that I'm not really that fond of, to me, going back to some of the older ones, but not too old, is perfect. And that's why I feel like if you didn't play Sun or Moon, definitely go for it. Yes, there are other Pokemon games on the 3DS, but Sun and Moon to me were the best. Top notch. Really different. I loved the Hawaiian setting. It was just a neat game. The story was good. It got really creepy. I definitely recommend Pokemon Sun and Moon. It's 100% worth your time. Thanks again, Paul, for having me on to talk about Pokemon Sun and Moon. Any excuse to talk about it because it's just an excellent iteration of the Pokemon series. And of course, I hope to see you guys over at my channel.
The Nintendo 3DS has such an interesting library of games. When it comes to my favorite Nintendo 3DS games, there are 2 that instantly come to mind, and those are Kirby Triple Deluxe and Kirby Planet Robobot. Kirby Triple Deluxe succeeded Kirby's Return to Dreamland. At face value, those 2 games have a lot in common. Similar art style, similar gameplay, pretty much what you'd expect from Kirby. But what separates Kirby Triple Deluxe from Return to Dreamland are all the new mechanics introduced to take advantage of the 3D. You'll often jump between the foreground and the background, giving the levels another level of depth. Considering how popular the Nintendo 2DS was, it's easy to forget that the 3D was once the selling point of the 3DS. But the way Triple Deluxe takes advantage of 3D is what I wish New Super Mario Bros. 2 would have done. Triple Deluxe feels like a game specifically made for the Nintendo 3DS. A little over 2 years later, Triple Deluxe got a sequel being Kirby Planet Robobot. It runs on the same engine and includes similar mechanics, but Robobot managed to be even better. The theming and locations of the game are based around technology, and it is super cool. And the Robobot armor is the best gimmick in any Kirby game. The coolest thing about it is that you feel super powerful wearing it, but also, you get new copy abilities as well. They're upgraded like the super abilities, but they're just way more fun to use with the Robobot armor. Overall, if you want the best 2D Kirby games, the 3DS is definitely the place to look. And while I'm here, I'd also like to bring up that Street Pass is still an amazing feature of the Nintendo 3DS. I completed all the puzzle swap puzzles last year, and it still is possible to get Street Passes in the year 2025. A great place to get them is by going to conventions. I was able to get a ton of them by going to PAX East, Too Many Games. You can really go to any gaming convention and still get Street Passes. Thank you so much, 90s Handheld Gamer, for having me, and keep calm and da-da-on.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rad from UpDownSelect. Special shout out to Paul, 90s Handheld Gamer, for having me on this epic collab. So we're supposed to talk about 3DS games that are still worth playing in 2025, and I had to go with one of my favorite 3DS games, and that is A Link Between Worlds, the indirect sequel to A Link to the Past. Let's talk about it. So, growing up, A Link to the Past was one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. Absolutely love that game. Still one of my favorite games to this day. So when I found out there was a sequel-ish game on the 3DS, I was ecstatic. Now, yes, I guess you could say that a Link's Awakening is a sequel, and yeah, okay. But this was like supposed to play exactly like A Link to the Past, and by God, it does. The overworld is the same. Some of the bosses are the similar-ish, same. The gameplay's the same. Like it's a sequel to A Link to the Past. But so you take on the role of Link and you're going between worlds again, which I mean obviously follows the name Link Between Worlds. It makes sense. But it's got like the opposite world, kind of like it's a mirror thing. So while you have Hyrule here, you have this other world here, and it's really cool. It's very Link to the Past, how it had the mirror dimension and the dark worlds, you know, thing like that. But this is more, I forget the name of it, but it's like its own like Hyrule-ish place. But yeah, this game is phenomenal. One of the things I didn't care for was the fact that you can rent your like stuff. So you can go rent a boomerang, you can rent a quick shot, you can rent, instead of having to get it, you rent it. But if you die, you lose it all and have to go rent it again. I thought that was a weird mechanic. I could kind of see why they did it, but to me, I didn't care for it. But I absolutely love this game. So if we're talking 3DS games you should still play and are still worth playing, this is one of them. I keep hoping that one day maybe we'll get like a Switch port, you know, like they did with the Luigi's Mansion 2. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but it would be super cool to see this come off the 3DS because more people need to play this game. So there you have it. Have you played A Link Between Worlds? Did you play A Link to the Past? What'd you think of both of them? Let us know down below. Again, thank you, Paul, for having me on. I'm Rad from UpDownSelect. Take care, everybody.
Hey, it's Emily from Orbalology, and I'm so happy to be here today to talk about a game that released on one of my favorite handheld consoles of all time that is still worth playing in 2025. And that game is SMT Devil Survivor Overclocked. This game originally released on the Nintendo DS, but the 3DS version is a much enhanced and upgraded version with voice acting, better graphics, additional endings, and so many other quality of life features when it comes to the battle system. And just like with most of the SMT games, this tactical spin-off series also could be quite challenging, so all the extra quality of life features greatly enhances the experience in my opinion. The main premise of this first game is you're trapped in the middle of Tokyo when the unfoldings of an apocalyptic event is occurring, where all these devils and demons are being summoned and you have to go to battle to fight to survive. So as you and a few friends are trying to find a way to escape this hellhole that is emerging, you are also trying to unfold kind of the mystery of what is happening and who are all the players that have high stakes during this event. So there's multiple routes you could take on, and it's a lot of fun to learn about all these different characters and motivations that is occurring during this huge event. And while I really enjoyed all the characters and different story beats through the various routes, I really enjoyed the combat as well, which was kind of a hybrid of a kind of Pokemon demon battling sort of mechanic alongside a strategy RPG like Fire Emblem. At the moment, the best way to play this game is on the 3DS, so I highly recommend giving it a shot sometime in 2025.
What is going on, everyone? It's Ty here, and when I was asked to pick a game on the 3DS that's still worth playing in 2025, I thought of a lot of games, but I think Super Mario 3D Land, in my opinion, would be the game that I would recommend to anybody picking up a 3DS in 2025 to play for a couple of reasons. It's really beginner friendly. Two, it's a really unique experience. There's not a whole lot of 3DS games that actually make use of the 3DS's 3D technology. In fact, pretty late, or not even that late into the 3DS's life cycle, there was just games that flat out didn't use it, or it was really pushed aside for a small, super gimmicky section, or, you know, it would add depth to all the games, but didn't really do much. This game actually utilizes it in levels, and even if a level isn't revolving around the 3D experience, it does make a difference. You can tell jumps a lot better. You can just, the atmosphere of the game gets enhanced greatly when you turn on the 3D functionality, and overall it's just a game that's not going to be ported anytime soon, and even if it is, it's going to lose that 3D functionality unless whatever console Nintendo cooks up next has that, but I kind of doubt it. It's also a fun game to 100%. It's not, again, it's not super challenging, but if you're looking for that little extra challenge, you know, there's always that. And there's just a fun couple little secrets and Easter eggs you can find. And I just think the game has a lot of charm put into it and got overlooked, I think, when people talk about 3DS games to play, because it wasn't a launch title, but it was also released early along in 3DS's life cycle, where it kind of gets overshadowed by everything else that comes out. And there's really no other Mario experience on the system like this. Like, we don't get any other 3D Mario experience. Everything else is pretty much spin-offs and then Super Mario Bros. 2. So I think overall 3D Land is something worth checking out in 2025, and it's better than 3D World. I said it.
What's going on, folks? My name is Joe, aka J to the OE. Thanks, Paul, for having me on your channel. I love talking about the 3DS. The 3DS is my favorite handheld ever made, and one game still worth playing in 2025 is Metroid: Samus Returns. This is a remake of Metroid 2 in Game Boy, and they upgraded obviously the graphics and lots of different controls. They actually added a parry or a counter system to this game. It's the reason why we got the parry and the counter system for Metroid Dread. With the updated controls, there's also more abilities that you have than you didn't have before. Like, it's sort of a remake, but it's really a whole new game, a whole new experience that you really need to check out for yourself. Everything that was great about Metroid 2 is still here, and everything that was bad has been fixed because of this. If you are into Metroidvania, this is the legend herself, Samus Aran, and you need to play this game in 2025. Thanks for having me on, Paul. I hope to see you guys at my channel at Joe Eats Games, where we talk about video games, food, nerd stuff, and any other things that's going on in my life. Otherwise, I'll see you later, or I will see you another time.
Hey folks, Jay from Cold Nights here. When my good friend 90s Handheld Gamer asked me what 3DS game I thought was still worth playing in 2025, I had to pick Tales of the Abyss. Tales of the Abyss is an action JRPG released in Japan in 2005 and in North America in 2006 for the PlayStation 2. It was the 8th mainline entry in the Tales of series and commemorated its 10th anniversary. It would later be ported to the 3DS in Japan in 2011 and North America the following year. The game follows the protagonist, Luke von Faber, and his unlikely ally, Tyr Grants, as they travel the world attempting to avert calamity. The story in this one is emotional, being filled with numerous plot twists and surprises. Luke must come to grips with the circumstances of his birth, face the ultimate sacrifice, and try and save humanity from a horrifying fate. Critics praise the character development and design in the game, with GamePro choosing Luke and Tyr as the two top characters in the Tales of franchise. The game added many new features to the Tales of franchise while keeping the core gameplay of classics like Tales of Symphonia intact. Players could now freely run about the battlefield, AD skills and cores were added, and Field of Phonon circles could enhance elemental attacks. While the 3DS effects were not received well by critics, the simple fact that the title was available in handheld form was a huge deal at the time and is still a selling point today. In my opinion, the characters and themes presented in the game make this one of the more memorable games in the franchise and one of the finest JRPGs period. I actually first encountered Luke and Tyr in Tales of the World Radiant Mythology, and my affection for them made me pick up the game and give it a try. I am so damn thankful I did. This one absolutely is a cannot miss. Thanks for having me on, Paul. I look forward to hearing everyone's selections, and as always, stay creepy.
Hey, it's Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming. Huge shout out to Paul for inviting me on this fantastic collab. Now, I'm going to readily admit that I'm not the biggest fan of the 3DS, specifically the hardware itself, but anyone would be crazy to say the games on that system were anything but fantastic. To that end, I think one of the best games for the system is Dragon Quest VIII. This entry, when it came out on the PS2, was the series' first foray into 3D exploration and voice-acted dialogue, though the latter only for its English release. Even with these new additions to a series that rarely sees change, we see the same Dragon Quest formula with this entry, and this includes a simple narrative telling the story of a hero looking to save a cursed king and his daughter, the princess, while also meeting an interesting and colorful set of characters, rallying together to defeat the wicked jester Kefka. I mean Dual Magus. Along with this is the classic, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, turn-based combat, which continues to operate well. The characters and monsters have the classic Akira Toriyama character designs, which fit this wonderfully colorful game so well. The OG PS2 version could be seen as the preferred way to play when comparing it to the 3DS version. After all, it has a higher resolution and larger field of view, an orchestrated soundtrack, and a bit of a shorter load time. But even with these, I still recommend the 3DS version, not just because of the portability factor, but because of all the quality of life improvements and additional content. This includes enemies that are visible on and in the environment rather than like random encounters, battles that can be sped up to improve, overall grinding speed, the ability to quick save anywhere, and additional side quests, backstory, and 2 new playable characters. Plus, there is a post-game dungeon and alternative ending to boot. If you were lucky enough to snag a copy of this gem on the 3DS, you are in luck, as you're going to be in for a great time with this game. If you haven't, well, it tends to be pricey, as Dragon Quest games seem to be at around $100 or so for a complete in box. Thanks again, Paul, for having me on. If you like RPG content as well as retro gaming and Nintendo stuffs, come join me here on YouTube at Inferno Fox Gaming.
Hey guys, Nishquik here, and thank you so much, Paul, the 90s handheld gamer, for having me on this collab to talk about my favorite 3DS JRPG that you should still play today. And if you guys know me, you guys know that one of my favorite games of all time, and easily my favorite 3DS game of all time, is the gem Fire Emblem Awakening. You have so many Fire Emblem games on the Nintendo 3DS, but I always have to go back to my favorite Fire Emblem Awakening because it has a very special place in my heart. It is one of the games that got me into the JRPG genre, and it's my first Fire Emblem game. I have so much respect and love for this game's combat, gameplay, story. The characters are so lovable and they're so relatable sometimes, and I still remember so many of them, recruiting all these guys and having them in battle. And the music and the OST is still one of my favorite things to listen to, having not played the game for so many years. And I have so many fond memories of this game. I remember at first I just couldn't get into it. It was so hard, very different kind of game for me, but I really liked the vibe, I liked the characters, so I stuck with it. I asked some of my friends for help, looked at some guides online, and then I restarted it, did a second playthrough, and I was loving it. And me and my cousin, we went on a road trip together with our families back when I was in high school. And throughout all our car rides, we were just playing Fire Emblem Awakening on our 3DS and making the right parent matchings, getting the best child units. And then I revisited this game back when I was in college many years back, just to revisit it with the nostalgia. It was still as amazing as I remember it being. And I think this game deserves a replay from me sometime soon as well. It's a game that is timeless in my opinion. You can play it on the 3DS right now and still have a fantastic, amazing time with it. I can't believe I went through all this collab piece without showing you guys the game, but here it is. Here's my copy of Fire Emblem Awakening, all the way back from 2013. Love this game so much, still one of my favorites of all time, and thank you so much, Paul, for having me on this collab. If you guys enjoy Nintendo and RPG content, check me out on the channel nishquikpops. I'll see you guys there. Have a good one.
Before I get into my pick, I just want to give a huge thanks to everyone who was a part of this collaboration with me, and to everyone watching. Please be sure to go check out all their channels, as I'll have them linked in the description of this video. But the 3DS game that I had to talk about is one that I actually played and beat recently, and I had a blast doing so. And that game is Shin Megami Tensei 4. This is a monster collecting, turn-based JRPG that has a phenomenal story, phenomenal characters, amazing world building, because when major events happen in this game and you go back to talk to the NPCs, their dialogue will change. And this game also has the famous press turn combat of the Shin Megami Tensei series, which is very engaging, very challenging, but also very rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And I also would just recommend grown-up adult Pokemon fans should also check out Shin Megami Tensei. If you're like me and you're kind of jaded with the current Pokemon games, I highly recommend trying an SMT game. It's great turn-based combat. You still have the monster collecting, except they're more, you know, kind of scary looking than cute. But what I really like about this game also is how it starts you off kind of like a typical JRPG in a kind of you know, medieval castle town type of setting. But then you go into the depths of this dungeon called Nariko, and then you find kind of another dimension, like with this apocalyptic Tokyo that is overrun with demons. This game also has a lot of replay value with 3 different endings. You kind of get like this alignment system where you can end up being like the chaos or the law and order route or the neutral route. And they all give you different endings, different scenarios. As far as the combat goes, I would say that a lot of people say this game is super hard. I didn't find it hard at all, especially if you lower the difficulty, which I did like at the very end because I didn't want to grind out all the side quests. But I absolutely had a blast playing this game, and I highly recommend it to turn-based JRPG fans. Every Shin Megami Tensei fan needs to play this at least once. And I also recommend it to adult Pokemon fans. But that is it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like. And if you're not already, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, I will catch you all later.